Now that the political rights were established, it was time to focus on other subjects, and one of the dominant ones was that of economic rights. In that respect, the trade unions became important, especially in areas that traditionally held a lot of women. And one of those areas were the care industry, where the nurses got their own warrior in Inger Nordentoft. It was something new for the men at the managerial positions that they had to face a woman on the other side of the table when they were negotiating the conditions for the employees. We've come a long way since, but equal pay is an area where we have still not reached a goal. It's funny how a person viewed in her time as a progressive today would be considered reactionary. But this is the case with Tit Jensen. She used her fame as an author to promote the subject of women's reproductive rights. This was not the case of abortion, since it would take another 40 years to become legal. No, it was the case of prevention. For that purpose, she founded the organization Volunteer Motherhood. This was a new approach to women's sexuality, that you would choose not to accept the role of motherhood. However, her position on homosexuality would today place her firmly on the conservative side of mainstream. A different approach on motherhood was taken by Vera Skeltz when she founded the Mother's Help. The idea behind this organization was that a woman did not have to stay in a marriage just because she was a mother, and she could, as a single mother, get support from this organization. Another author that took the idea of the fight to the enemy was Kate Fleron. She became a journalist at one of the more conservative newspapers and managed to edge her way into an area that was typically men's dominated, the one of criminal stories. Her willingness to question the authorities, that is, the DA and the police force, meant that once the war began, she was driven underground, and she actually became a freedom fighter through that means. After the war, she continued her work as journalist, but now on a left-leaning newspaper. Being a column writer for a magazine could have profound influence, and Tina Brun was an example of that. Her breakthrough, though, came through the radio, and generations of teenagers have followed her advice on sexuality and gender relations. Sexuality was also the subject of perhaps the most successful book that has ever come out of the women's movement. It was called Woman, Know Thy Body, and came in its first edition in 1975. It has been updated several occasions, and the editors have been changed through time. The original editors were Britta Wielopolska and Anita Petersen, who worked out of this building, but has always been a collection of epistles from various authors. I began the series with an author, and I will end with an author. This one is Tove Ditlevsen. She was instrumental in exploring women's position in society, especially from an emotional point of view. And like Thomasine Gyllenmoor, she chose to marry out of love, although she was not as successful about it and went through several divorces. But her books have served as inspiration for generations of women, even though her own life was unhappy.